earlier in the day, I spoke to Bob Wilson, the circuit owner here at Hooton Park, and this is what Bob had to say. Hi guys, I'm joined by Bob Wilson, who is the circuit owner here at Hooton Park. We're at Ellesmere Port in Cheshire. Tell us a little bit of history, first of all, about the circuit.
Okay, Alan, thanks very much, first of all, for visiting Hooton Park. Circuit was designed and built 9 years ago. We host all types of karting, from corporate karting through non-MSA racing, which is what we're doing today, very popular as it is. And we have an MSA club, the Cheshire Kart Racing Club, which operates the MSA side of racing. We're one of the few 7-day-a-week kart circuits, so we're open for testing and a very busy circuit.
And you're doing corporate business as well, of course. I want to ask you specifically about the differences between the IKR. We had somebody asking a question yesterday online, what's IKR? So IKR stands for Independent Kart Racing, and then we've got MSA. So just for those watching who might be watching this in the United States or Thailand, Philippines, just tell us the difference between the two.
Yeah, what actually was in my mind about 6 years ago, I think now, was that we have a lot of people that come and we see them testing karts who didn't have a license and therefore didn't race.
That's an MSA license. And MSA, guys, that's the Motorsport Association in the UK that tend to run most of four-wheel motorsport, and for that you need a license.
Yes.
There's a certain cost involved.
Yes.
Obviously this IKR route, though, well, no license required as such.
Yeah, we created a sort of separate grouping, if you like, way back, say 6 years ago, and it's called IndyCar Racing, and that's a trademark of this circuit. The IKR is a separate thing, and the difference is, and it's important in my mind, that we do not allow anyone with an MSA license to do IndyCar. You have to commit to one or other, and I think that's a trick that other people have missed. We've got a very strong MSA race club here. It's one of the strongest in the north of England, to be honest, but we still have a huge number of people that don't want to go down that route for whatever reason, be it cost, time, and the other thing is the rules are more crafted towards the owner drivers and the equipment they've got than forcing people to go with a decision made somewhere else, probably down in London.
Okay, and obviously MSA racing, it's a specific class with specific tyres, specific type of kart, engines, rules. The IKR route then, it looks to me what we'll be seeing today is more of a sort of run what you brung almost. So we've got junior two-stroke, for example, which will be Rotax and X30 and basically anything else that's a two-stroke car. That's sort of main difference, isn't it? It's more of a fun thing, I think, rather than what you might consider at the MSA level a more professional sort of level of racing.
Well, I think the people that race here will say that they are as professional as anyone else, but you're quite right. When I was racing many years ago, one of the great attractions to racing was that there were, I think in my day, 15 engine manufacturers. So when you were on the grid, there were 10 or 11 chassis manufacturers, and there were an equivalent number, if not more, engine manufacturers. So you'd be racing against Rotax with a Perilla or a DAP or whatever the engine was at the time, and I always thought that was very much a better thing than the one make situation that we have perhaps now. So when I decided that we needed a home for all these people that would come and test, I just went to the few of a couple of weekends and said, if I organise a series of racing for you and I'll group you into light performance, would you be interested? It started off at 27. Last month we had 123.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable. I mean, we see that replicated at some of the other circuits around the country as well, where the IndyCar racing, or the IKR, has got a bigger entry than the MSA events at the same circuit, and certainly that's the case here. 120 in IKR.
Yep.
What sort of numbers would you be doing MSA possibly?
Our core MSA at the moment, and like every circuit I have to say, it has dropped over the last few years. Our core entry here is 55 in the MSA.
Right, so that's, I mean, it's less than half.
It is, and in
now,
fact,
I'm sure the MSA, I mean, from my point of view, I think, you know, any form of karting is good because it brings, I mean, even for the MSA, if we can bring people in cheaply into the sport, get them racing, get them interested in racing, that's better than perhaps an entry barrier where you've got to come in, you've got to spend a certain amount of money on a license. In some cases, I think the situation with medicals has changed slightly now with the MSA, but there's a barrier to entry effectively to MSA racing that you don't have in IKR, but it does get them involved. And the interesting thing you do here, as you were saying before, once they progress to, and I think you would call it a progression to MSA racing, they can't then go back
that's
and
correct.
do it again.
No, it's an absolute, and I think this is where other circuits have slightly gone adrift. I think that there needs to be the distinction, and we've made it, and we've held true to it with great success. I think you muddy the water when you do it the other way, quite frankly. If there is no reason to go MSA, then don't have it at all. If you want to be total MSA, which we are with the Cheshire Cup, which is next weekend, then do it. But you're quite right. We make it easy in, easy out. And I'm also the ARCS examiner for the circuit. And I try and get this across to the powers that be, that every year end, every season end, I do ARCs from IndyCar to MSA racing, from people that have come in, found it easy, very welcoming, no hoops and hurdles to go through, bar our own normal sensible checks, and then having done a year or two in IndyCar, they become enthused and they move up to the appropriate class. And these people come up, and when they go to other circuits as black plate novices, people can't believe that they're novices because they've done a couple of years here. It's brilliant. It's a great idea. And it starts off nowadays with Bambino. And we're moving them into our cadet class. And then if they wish to go up. But we have probably, particularly in seniors, I would think 80% of the people stay in IndyCar because it's affordable, it's run very strictly, in fact more strictly than any other form of motor racing. I'm afraid I make the decision, and it can be and has been that you go home. Instant, and we let people have their say, but if there's any aggression on or off track, it's go home, and it can be forever.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Bob. It's very interesting. Looking forward to bringing you the racing today, guys, from this meeting. Some of the races will have different types of karts on, so whereas in an MSA event you might have just Rotax karts, in a two-stroke, for example, we might have X30 and Rotax on track at the same time, but we'll try and keep you abreast of all the information. Thanks for that, Bob.
Thank you very much, Alan.
This is the first time we'll be live streaming today, guys. We're here at Hooton Park in Ellesmere Port for the IndyCar meeting. Well, that was Bob Wilson. The first race up today is for Bambinos, and earlier I caught up with some of those guys. Let's hear what they had to say. So coming up, we've got the Bambino class on track. Now we've got IAME engines and Coma engines. Now these two guys here, Romeo Fernandez in the red and white and black and grey suit, is joint championship leader in the Coma class with Seb Moore here in the blue suit. So guys, just tell us a little bit about yourselves. Romeo, first of all, how old are you?
7.
So you're 7 years of age, and how long have you been racing for?
6 months.
So you're racing since Christmas, basically. What is it that brought you into karting in the first place, do you think?
Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo. That's interesting. So he's your favourite driver, obviously. And what about you, Seb? You're 7 years of age as well. How long have you been racing for?
8 months.
Okay, so both been racing 8 months. You got joint championship lead. What brought you into karting?
I went on holiday and I saw go-karts and I went on one.
Okay. That's interesting, that yeah, it's the way a lot of people get into karting. They go to a corporate event or they go to Butlin, something like that, and they try the karts. What about today, guys? It's very, very hot out there today. What are you thinking about this weather? Is it really hot when you get your suit on? You like these conditions?
Yeah.
What about the wet? Do you race in the wet a lot, Romeo?
Not really.
You don't like the wet then? You prefer these conditions today?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, well, you've got the joint championship lead going forward today. Who do you think is going to come out top this weekend between you? Now, you won, Romeo, I think, in round 2, didn't you? Seb, you won at round 4, and then you were second last month. Who do you think is going to take the win today?
I think me.
You think you? What about you, Romeo?
I don't know.
Oh, you should say you. You've got to say you. You've got to be positive. Okay, guys, well, good luck. We look forward to seeing you in the race. In the IndyCar Bambino IAME class, the Lewis Hamilton of that class joins us. It's Connor Scarrisbrick, and I say to Lewis Hamilton because you've won, basically, 5 rounds. You've won them all. You've not lost all season, have you?
Nope.
How did you come into karting in the first place? What age were you when you started? How old are you now?
7.
So you're 7 now. How old were you when you started?
5.
All right, so you've been doing it a couple of years. How long have you been racing for then? Because you can start practicing, can't you, at 5? How long have you been racing for, since you were 6?
2.5 years.
Oh, right, okay. So obviously that's working well for you with 5 wins this season. This is obviously a track. Do you only race here or do you race anywhere else?
I race in the BKC as well as Hooton Park here.
Okay, that's the Bambino car. Is that the national championship that you do?
The British Bambino Kart Club.
Okay. And what's your plans moving forward? You're doing IKR at the moment, but are you going to get an MSA license yourself, do you think?
Probably not.
And why is that? Are you just looking just because you want to enjoy your racing and you just basically want to race here, I guess, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, and today, 5 wins in a row. Can you make it 6 today, do you think?
Hopefully.
Okay, well, good luck.
Thank you.
So Bambino's out on track. Let's give you a quick rundown of the runners and riders in this one. Now, there's 2 types. You've got Coma and IAME engines in this. I'm just going to try and sort out. We'll get the grid for you once the race pretty much gets underway. Looks like we are off, in fact. So the man who has pole is the 28 car. That's Connor Scarrisbrick, who is in fact the championship leader. So championship leader away, going through turn 1. It's the 91. We're just picking out Romeo Fernandez, who we also interviewed earlier. They come out of turn 2 up towards us. And it is Scarrisbrick trying to defend, but looks like he may lose that spot and does lose the spot, in fact, to the 66. Danny Bonner has gone through. Danny's on an IAME kart. 23 in the picture as well as James Roberts as they head down to turn 4. Turn 4, I would say it's turn 4 and then turn 5 here, but actually the circuit just say it's one turn, a big double apex, classic double apex up into the S's, and it is the 66 of Danny Bonner that leads it on the IAME, the 23 in behind him, James Roberts also on IAME, and as we've seen, it looks like we had the championship leader 28 going off pole, but he's not in it at the moment. Let me just sort out the timing for you guys so you get the full screen. Won't be a second. So there you go. So we've got 12 karts in this on track. It's Bonner that leads it from James Roberts. Connor Scarrisbrick starting pole down to P3. Then comes Narrowway in 4th. Seb Moore we interviewed earlier with Romeo Fernandez. They're currently 5th and 6th, and they're tied for the championship lead as well. They are tied for the championship lead in the Coma Bambino class. That's the 28, the pole man, Connor Scarrisbrick. Narrowway was behind him, but it looks like, in fact, Scarrisbrick has made a place up there. He has. So Scarrisbrick now through to 2nd. James Roberts drops to 3rd. Narrowway still there in 4th place. We've got Sane Quecker in this as well. Fernandez is now ahead of Seb Moore. Finley Lyons is in 7th from Seb Moore in 8th. Rounding up the top 10, you've got Oscar Walsh just going through the line in 9th place. And then 10th, it is Oliver Meek. Ethan Grundy goes through in 11th, and Riley Stewart rounds out the field. That's the the Bambino race as things stand at the moment, guys. We're live streaming here from Hooton Park. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you've not subscribed to us previously. We just hit 49,000 subscribers this morning, in fact, in the early hours of this morning. And here comes the poleman. He's back through to the lead. So Connor Scarrisbrick started pole, dropped to third, back into second and back to first place. Bonner on the 66 kart there in second place. Looks like Riley Stewart is about to get lapped. Riley, very new to karting, of course. This is the live stream from Hooton Park in Ellesmere Port. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and then follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/TDi Media UK. Alan TDi here doing the commentary. Unfortunately, the world's best commentator, Jake Sanson, is off doing something else elsewhere. So you're going to have to put up with me, guys, I'm afraid. But I'll do the best I can. Coming back to us then, down through to turn one once more. Let me just see where we are in turn. I've got nothing on screen to say how many laps we've done. Let's just see where we are. So Scarrisbrick from Danny Bonner, James Roberts, Luca Narroway, Zane Quecker, Fernandez. Seb Moore's made up a place on that lap. He's got the place back on Findlay Lines from Oscar Walsh on the 47. Then Oliver Meek, Ethan Grundy and Riley Stewart rounding out the grid at the moment. Riley has been lapped by the leader, and the leader here, the poleman, Connor Scarrisbrick, who we interviewed earlier, of course, who is the leader in the Bambino IAME class. Championship leader. He's got a comfortable lead at the moment. Romeo Fernandez in the Coma class. He is tied for the championship lead in that class. But Scarrisbrick, who's got the championship lead, looks like he's going to hold on to the championship lead. 19 going through the picture is Ethan Grundy. Ethan there in that's 11th place, of course, for Ethan. As he comes down through. This is through turn 4. The race leader runs a little wide, but you can see that concrete on the exit there, so doesn't hold him up at all through the S's. That's turn 6. Turn 7 is the final turn on the circuit, and they come down this long straight. I say it's straight, but it's got that dog leg on the off to the right there, so you can't really get down the inside. If you try and get down the inside, you can easily get squeezed off. This is turn 1, brings you out onto turn 2, both overtaking opportunities during the race. And the race leader now coming back to the 20 kart of Oliver Meek. In 10th place, Oliver. So he's about to get passed by the race leader. Still Bonner in second, Roberts third, Luca Narroway in fourth, and Zane Quecker in 5th place. Seb Moore's just made up a place on Romeo Fernandez, and that is significant because, as we heard earlier, Seb Moore and Romeo Fernandez with the same amount of championship points, although on my list here it says Fernandez is in a coma and Seb Moore is on an IAME. Not sure about that. We're into the last lap as they go through the line, so this is a comfortable victory here for the poleman. He didn't start very well, Connor Scarrisbrick, but he's sweeping all before him as he come out of turn 2 up to turn 3. Connor Scarrisbrick on the 28 kart through the picture now, and everybody else just trailing in his wake. Bonner's still in second place. Danny Bonner, can't quite see him. Not seeing much of anybody else really in this race, but Bonner in second. James Roberts there in that bronze medal position in 3rd place on the podium. And Narroway, Quecker, Seb Moore still ahead of Romeo Fernandez, the two guys we interviewed earlier. Here's the man with the checkered flag getting that ready. And Connor Scarrisbrick, in fact, has gone through the line and got the checkered flag. So Connor Scarrisbrick, there he is, the 28, coming towards us, has already got the checkered flag. So the man with the checkered flag, I think he may have missed the winner there, actually, as he went through the line. I'm not sure whether he actually waved the checkered flag at Scarrisbrick. He may think he needs to go round again, but Scarrisbrick's taken the win from Bonner in second. Then James Roberts third, Luca Narroway is fourth, with Zane Quecker going through the line. Here comes that battle between Seb Moore on the 50, with Fernandez just in behind him. That's 50 and 91, 6th and 7th. 8th place, Findlay Lions going through the line. Oscar Walsh will come next. Meek, Grundy and Riley Stewart, of course, were lapped earlier on in the race. And the man with his hand up is Connor Scarrisbrick. He takes the win.